Good morning. Today's message will come from the book of Romans chapter 8. Romans chapter 8, I read to you verse 27 and 28. And he that searcheth the heart knoweth what is the mind of the Spirit, because he maketh intercession for the saints according to the will of God. And we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are called according to his purpose. And he that searcheth the heart knoweth what is the mind of the Spirit, because he maketh intercession for the saints according to the will of God. And we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are called according to his purpose. This morning, I want to use for a subject talk a little while. Jesus is working things out. Jesus is working things out. No matter what you have going on in your life, regardless who you are, regardless of who's involved, you need to know this morning the good news that Jesus is working things out. And what I like about Jesus, he is behind the scene worker. We may not see what Jesus is doing, may not know what Jesus is doing, but one thing about it, Jesus knows his children. He knows what we go through. He knows what we're struggling. He knows what the good things that are preventing us from doing better. He know the good things that have separated us from Christ. He know what you rose up this morning to do. Somebody somewhere this morning just got up on a merry day, just going to do them. It's all about me. I'm going to take care of this. I got this plan, and not once thinking about Jesus. Not once thinking about I've made it from Monday through Sunday. Now let me stop and give God some praise. Not once thinking about this is the day that he set aside for me that's considered the Sabbath. This is a day of rest. This is a day of service. This is a day of worship. This is a day of praise. But even in the midst of you getting up going to do your thing, Jesus still working things out. For all things work together for the good of those that love the Lord. It's amazing. It's a good feeling to know that even if you don't tell Jesus about it, he's already working things out. And I thought about this, all things work together. And I thought about a cake. I really love cake. I mean, I love any kind of cake just about. And my favorite is lemon with chocolate icing, but I like them all. But I thought about if you broke that before that cake is baked, there's ingredients. The ingredients used alone to make a cake. If you seen it, you wouldn't eat it, probably wouldn't eat it individually by itself. The flour alone is plain and dry. I can't imagine getting a spoon and just eating flour. Plain and dry. I can't imagine the baking soda. Taking a spoon and just getting a tear of baking soda. It's bitter alone by itself. The flour is dry. Baking soda is bitter. Then I think about the oil that you have to put in with it. The oil is thick. Can't imagine getting a spoon and just partaking of the oil alone by itself. Then I think about the sugar that goes in, taking the spoon and dipping in and just getting a spoon of sugar and eating the sugar by itself. The sugar alone is sweet. The flour is dry. Baking soda is bitter. The oil is thick. And the sugar is too sweet. But when you mix those things together, you can work all those ingredients together to make something good at the end. That's what God is doing. All what we're going through, all the trials, all the tribulation, what you have, what I have, what the next person have. God said I can work all those things together and turn it out for something good and rewarding in the end. This is good news today. God is working things out. What's going on in your life? We all are going through something, whether we share it with others or whether we deal with it in our hearts or whether we just try to block it out. We all are going through something in life. Then the next question, if you're not going anything in life, do you need anything worked out? I need some things worked out in my life. I need Jesus to work some things out. I'm not where I want to be. I'm not what I used to be, but I still want Jesus to work things out. How many of you need anything worked out in your life? How many of you need Jesus to fix something in your life? How many of y'all want Jesus to fix something in the world that you live in? Are you faced with anything that you need to be worked out today by Jesus? Very strong statement today. Very strong. We talk about things. We complain about things. We murmur about things. Maybe those things that we should be giving to Jesus to work out. Perhaps you trying to fix them. Perhaps you've been trying to work it out. I trust that you have answered yes to some of, not all of the questions answered above. In this life we live and the life we go through or will go through, we'll go through some difficult times. We're going to go through some trials and tribulation. We'll go through some good and bad. We'll go through some ups and downs. We'll even go through some times when we need Jesus to work things out. Too many times in life we get to a point where we don't need Jesus. God blesses us with, some of us have heaven on earth. Some of us don't want for anything. Some of us have like the bed of roses and get to a point where, I can go from day to day, month to month, week to week. I really don't need anything. Everything is good. What I have can get me through. Well, I want to stop by today to tell you there'll come a time where you're going to need Jesus to work things out. I hope you found out today that there's some good things going on in your life. There's to be some good things that could be going on in your life that you will go through, and those good times where you'll also need Jesus to work those things out so that Jesus can get you back to where he wants you, where he needs you to be. It's amazing. It's amazing how how we feel that we can only need Jesus to work something out bad for us. Y'all heard me say there's some good things that we're enjoying. There's some good things that we're going through. There's some good that we're having, and that Jesus needs to come in and work those things out. If they're good, have separated you from following Christ. If they're good, have stopped you from serving Christ. If they're good, have stopped you from doing right by God's children. Jesus needs to come in and work those things out for you. It's amazing how we only need Jesus to work something bad out for us. Work out something difficult. Work on something hard in life. As children of God, we have to be reminded that there are a lot of good things that we are partaking of. There's a lot of good things that we are enjoying, that we're going through, where we need Jesus to work something out for us. The good news is you need to hear today is whatever it is, whomever it is, however it may be long it's been going, you can give praise in advance knowing that Jesus can work it out. Somebody's faced with something today. Somebody's been keeping something inside. Someone is going through something that they think is just so big and don't know how it's going to turn out. The message says Jesus is working it out. You can rejoice knowing that Jesus can work it out because there's nothing too hard for God. You need to know today that God is working things out in your life, working things out in your spouse's life, working things out in your children's life. No one is exempt from needing God to work things out in their life. No matter how good you think you have it, no matter what's going on, no matter what you have, no one is exempt. If you don't believe me now, just keep on living. Life will come where you be led right down a path that will have you needing Jesus to work things out. Lord, I want you to do this for me. Lord, I need you to fix this for me. I say it all the time. I'm always asking Jesus to do this, work on this, fix this here. Help me do this. This morning, I don't want you to feel bad. I don't want you to think bad about yourself and needing Jesus to work things out, because it is a blessing. It is a joy to have Jesus working in your life. Don't feel bad because Jesus, I got to a point with Jesus. No, it's a joy. It's a blessing to have Jesus working on anything in your life. As we strive to live a life pleasing to God, we'll find Jesus working things out in our life on a daily basis. Some we know about, some we're not aware of. It certainly rains, but the Bible says it rains on the just as well as unjust. But the good news you have with Jesus working things out in your life, the rain will not flood you out. But with Jesus working in your life, God will use that rain to give the increase. He will use that rain to bring fruit to your life, that by your fruit you shall know them. This morning, church, my heart was filled with joy when God gave me Romans 8 and 28 to preach today, because in the midst of everything that's going on, in the midst of all the trials and tribulations, all the pandemic and all the illnesses and all the things that come about, haven't God been working things out? A couple of years ago, we couldn't play together. We couldn't eat together. We couldn't sit together. We couldn't watch the movie together. We couldn't go to the game together. And a couple of years ago, we had to be 6 feet apart. Children couldn't even sit together on the same seat on the bus. Had to be separated in some places. Or you had to have a space in between. Have you forgot about it? Have you forgot about how God had worked those things out? That was the biggest thing. Right now, the hospitals still have you been around anyone with COVID? Have you tested positive? Have you had symptoms? Sure, they still follow that protocol in the health business. But think about some times ago. Didn't want to come out your house. Had to have a mask on your face. Only certain number of people was allowed to go in. Have y'all forgot about it already? Only a certain amount of people was able to go into the store. In the schools, you were able to go one way. Talking about Jesus working things out. Have you forgot about it? And this too shall pass. This morning, church, the word of God says, in spite of all, God has promised to work things out together for the good of those that love the Lord, to the good of those that serve the Lord. Haven't he done it? There is nothing too hard for God. People have lost lives by the thousands, lost family members, lost people by towns. But yet Jesus worked things out. Not just through the bad situation, but through the good as well. Look at our God, how he worked things out. There is nothing too hard for God. But we as God's children, we forget about what our God can do. We forget about what our God has done. Somebody today need to hear this testimony. Somebody today need to know this, just what kind of God they really serve. What kind of God with separation? Churches closed, schools closed, government closed, stores. You need to know just what kind of God you serve. Somebody today need to hear this testimony. Somebody know just what kind of God they really serve. Verse 28 saying, we know. Do you really know? I pray you know. I know. Do you know? I pray that the answer is yes. And we know together that all things, not a few, not some, but all things work together for good of them that love God. This morning, church, you need to be reminded. You need to tell somebody else. You need to lift someone else hope up, somebody joy, and let them know that Jesus is working it out. Church, do you love him? Do you still love him? All things work together for the good of them that love God. Do you love him like you say you love him? Do you really? All things meaning whatever it is, whoever it is. All things, whatever it be, all things meaning work together for the good of them that love God, to them that are called according to his purpose. St. John 15 and 15, Christ no longer call you servant. Why? Why does Christ not call a servant? Because a servant does not know what his master does. He don't know what his master do. Instead, he said, I have called you friends. For all things I have heard of my Father, I have made known unto you. And then Christ going to say, you have not chosen me, but I have chosen you. Not only have I chosen you, but I've ordained you that you should go and bring forth fruit, and that your fruit shall remain. That whatever you should ask of the Father in my name, he may give it to you. This morning, church, we serve a mighty good God. He's working things out in your life. He knows what you're going through. He's working things out in your children's life, in your families. He's working things out in your going to and you coming in. He's working things out. I want you today to be of good cheer. Hold your head up and wear a smile on your face, knowing that Jesus is working things out in your life. Adversary wants you to worry. He wants you to fret. He wants you to worry how you're going to do this, how this going to be fixed, what's next, wonder how can it get worse. No, Jesus wants you to walk around with a smile on your face, knowing that he's working things out in your life. May not have all that you want. You may not be where you would like to be in life. May not feel as good as you like to feel. May seem that things are not getting any better. But know today that you can be filled with joy knowing that Jesus is working things out. Yeah, it's getting better. Things are turning around. He's working things out every second, every minute, every hour of the day. May seem like a long time coming, but I say to you, hold on. A change is coming because Jesus is working things out. I want you to live your life. Jesus wants you to live your life happy. He wants you to live your life rejoicing, knowing that you serve a God who will show up and work things out. Let not your hearts be troubled. As long as you got Jesus on your side, everything is going to be all right. No weapons. Long as you got Jesus on your side, no weapons formed against you shall prosper because Jesus is working things out. What a joy. What a blessing to know. All you need to know today is that Jesus is on his way. Oh, Jesus is on his way. Jesus is fixing it. You may not can see it, don't know how, don't know when, but you can just go ahead and put a smile on your face and give him praise in advance because Jesus is fixing it. Regardless of the point in your life, Jesus is on the way. He's working on it. In church, when Jesus show up, he will show out. He's done it many times. I will like to point out again just how good your God will show out and show up. All things. You know, if it's saying all things, not, well, he'll come, he's going to fix the little things. He's going to come, he's going to fix a few things. He's going to come, he'll fix these things. We got to come back next week and fix that. No, the Bible says all things. Now, you tell me that's not showing out. All things work together for the good of them that love God. All things, that's showing out. All things. When he show up, the steps of a good man is ordered by the Lord. When he show up, great is he that is in me than he is of the world. When he show up, there is nothing too hard for God. When he show up, the devil tremble. When he show, now that's really showing up and showing out because all power is in his hand. When he show up, he gives you the power to show out. What are you talking about? When Jesus show up, not only he show up by himself, but he gives you the opportunity to show out and saying, I can do all things through Christ which strengthen me. You know, that sounds good to say that. I can do all things through Christ that strengthen me, even show out. The Lord is my salvation. This morning, whom shall I fear? When Jesus show up, you can show out. My God can show out in a way, he say, I will supply all your needs according to his riches and glory. Our God has everything. The earth is his and the fullness thereof. And finally, you can show out because surely, goodness and mercy shall follow you all the days of your life. This morning, Jesus is working things out. What a blessing. What a blessing God sends us through his son, Jesus Christ. Church, you need to know today and be reminded that Jesus is able to fix everything. Jesus is able to fix everybody. Jesus is able to fix everything that's going in your life in spite of everything, everybody else. He's ready to work it out. Regardless what the adversary have started in your life, regardless what he have changed in your family, regardless what he have changed on the job, changed in the church, changed in the home, changed in your heart, changed in the world, regardless what he have changed out, even though he started it, God will fix it. You just wait until you see the finished product. He started it, but Jesus will finish it. The commentary today tells of a little girl who was busy drawing a picture. And I told y'all this before, and coloring the picture. And her mother walked up to her and asked, daughter, what on earth are you doing? The little girl replied, I'm making a picture of God. Her mother quickly said, well, dear, Don't you know that nobody have seen God and nobody know what God looks like? And the daughter replied and said, yes, Mom, but they will as soon as I'm done with this picture. And as it relates to us today, as children of God, if it were possible to look over God's shoulder and see what God is working on in your life, God, what are you doing? God, many answers I'm working. God will probably tell you, it's many answers I'm working on something in your life. God, I'm looking over. Let me see what you're doing, God. Well, I'm working something in your child's life. I'm working on something in your spouse's life. I'm working on something in the next town you're going to. I'm working on something in the next position I'm fit to move you to. I'm about to fix some things. I'm about to fix some ways. I'm about to fix some problems in your life. And one may answer, God, I don't know if it's possible. It's been like this forever. God, they have been like this forever. God, they're not going to change. God, they're too far gone. And then God's reply, yes, I know that you feel it's impossible, but I'm going to work it out anyway, because all things are possible through Christ. In closing today, church, you need to know that Jesus is the answer. Jesus is working things out in your life. He is the answer to all of your problems of today. He's working things out in your life. The first three words of our text today, verse 28, in closing. We know all. We know all. We know all. Then can you rest assured on the remainder of the text? Work together for the good of them that love God. We know all things work together for the good of them that love the Lord. This morning you need to know and keep in mind every day, believing that God is working things out. Hold on, and this too shall pass. May God add a blessing upon the hearing readers of thy word. Pray that you have been richly blessed by God's message today. Pray that you not only hide these words in your heart, but you will share them with someone else, because a blessing isn't a blessing unless you share it with someone else. Somebody today is depressed. Somebody is going heads down. Someone is living their life worried and their hearts are troubled, not sleeping good, not eating good because of something that's going on in their life. Give it to Jesus. Give it to Jesus, because Jesus can work it out. God bless you.